the pop culture feel, and you will.
Who doesn't like a good monster? I'll tell you. Monster hunters, they don't. That's why they hunt them. Because they hate them and they want them dead. Whether it's a werewolf, a Frankenstein-type, or a deal.
Or a child predator.
Yeah, a child predator. Yeah, kill them all. Monster hunters are out there doing the Lord's work, and we are here to talk about them. So, I always thought we did an episode on monster hunters before, but I don't think we've done an official one. Maybe we've mentioned
military versus monsters. I know that's an episode we did.
Yeah.
So try to keep it more military centric. This is going to be a little more broad in terms of
more fantastical.
Yeah, not necessarily the military hunting monsters or encountering monsters, but some of the greatest monster hunters out there in pop culture, ones that have kind of been iconic and have been copied out there. And then just kind of the general idea of hunting monsters, what it takes, the skills involved, the mindset, the organizations.
The mindset.
It's a great, you get the warrior mindset, right? The tactical mindset.
Yeah, the monster hunter mindset. MHMS.
Mindset. There you go.
Yeah.
You got to do maybe you could do a video about that. You got the tactical mindset on Cam and Path YouTube. Yeah. Maybe you could do these ones.
Yeah, there we go. So we have tactical mindset part 1 and 2, and then we're going to do the monster hunter mindset coming up next. Super quick and hot and ready up on the @kick.cam. But no, I'm actually excited for this one because, there is a lot of these movies that have to do with main protagonists going after a big old group or maybe one head honcho in the monster community. And a lot of these movies are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Or at least ones that I enjoy thoroughly.
Yes.
So obviously the biggest monster hunter, the most infamous of all time, would you say, and would you agree with, was probably Van Helsing,
Yeah, I agree because he's an old figure too, right? He's from Dracula, which was written the 1800s, late 1800s.
Yeah, 1897.
Yeah. Van Helsing, he's a Dutch polymath director with a wide range of interests and accomplishments, partly attested by the string of letters that follows his name: MD, PhD, D Lit, etc., indicating a wealth of experience, education, and expertise. He is a doctor, professor, lawyer, philosopher, scientist, and metaphysicist. The character is best known through the many adaptations of the story as a vampire slayer, monster hunter, and the arch nemesis of Count Dracula, and the prototypical and archetypal parapsychologist in subsequent works of paranormal fiction. So he's like the big archetype. I think this is where we may get the kind of standard form of what a monster hunter is. And we've kind of just taken it from there. And then we've got a lot of derivatives or original takes on the theme. But he is the one, I think, that, and maybe it started it all. I mean, the idea of, we've been hunting things since the beginning of time. And then also humanity, mythological creatures in lore from around the globe, from the east to the west, north and south. Every country has their own mythological monsters and creatures. And then, of course, those that have fought them, whether they be gods from mythology or just really heroic people from their Greek or Nordic mythology, whatever.
Yeah, man. If there's something that goes bump in the night, there's probably someone that's bumping back.
Yes, that's a t-shirt right there.
Yeah. So
we bump those that bump in the night or something like that.
Yeah, we bump back those who bump in the night.
Yeah, it's some sort of monster hunter. You double bump team.
Yeah, bubble bump. But speaking of Van Helsing, he's portrayed dozens of times in pop culture. He is the OG of the monster hunters. And one of my favorite movies growing up was the Hugh Jackman portrayal of Van Helsing. I don't know why I was so obsessed with that movie, but I don't know, it just had really cool tech in it. It rode the line of fantasy, but in the era. So there was weapons everywhere.
A little bit of steampunk type inspiration, or like
automatic crossbow. You kidding me? Super cool.
Yeah, gear punk or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that portrayal was really good because it rode that fine line of fantasy, because you had Dracula, but you also had all of the monsters. It wasn't just, him fighting Dracula. It was also him fighting werewolves, him fighting Mr. Jekyll and Hyde, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. So it was he existed in this realm where monsters were truly real, and it just wasn't, multiple universes, he'd like dive into each. No, he was a part of one that contained them all.
Yeah.
Like it was, I thought it was a good portrayal.
Universal monsters.
Yeah, Universal
Dracula,
monster. Even Frankenstein was in there.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was done really well. And to be honest, I was like, Van Helsing, it was a character created so long ago that for some reason, I wouldn't have put it past them if he was like a real guy, you know? Like he's been personified to such an extent that like I'm like, this guy has to be based off a real person. But no, he's not. He's a fictional character that came out in the Bram Stoker Dracula, and it was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
So
you were sad that he wasn't an actual figure from history.
I was pretty sad because, like, could you imagine being related to Van Helsing? Like, my great-great-grandfather was Van Helsing. You know, that's pretty badass.
That casts a long shadow. You kind of have to become a monster hunter.
Yeah.
If that's your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or whatever.
Yeah. Do you know how many, like, TV show deals you would have on Sci-Fi Channel that, like, you know, you would go around and just, like, kind of say, is anybody here with us? And then, you know, hear like a crack and then you piss yourself, and that's great TV. It would have been awesome. Plus, Van Helsing, one hell of a guitar player.
What's your favorite?
Terrible joke.
So your favorite incarnation of Van Helsing is the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing.
Probably.
My favorite incarnation would be the Bram Stoker's Dracula movie Van Helsing with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
because
he's kind of like a crazy guy, right?
He's kind of crazy. Yeah, he's kind of a goofy.
Yeah, he's like super off. He's like the village idiot kind of in a way. They're like, oh, it's just that guy.
Yeah. But he knows the stuff, you know.
Yeah,
he helps them out when they need it in the movie. You know, he's got the lore. That's one thing I always really appreciate about any incarnation of any kind of monster hunter is the education that they have. They know their foe. They're really experienced. They know the lore. They know how their foe thinks. No matter who we've got on this list, I think just about everybody. All of the monster hunters on this list are learned hunters. I just appreciate because you have to, as the writer or the developer, you have to know the monster lore, and it all has to be internally consistent within that world that you're creating, whether it's Monster Hunter or The Witcher. And I just love that. I think it adds so much depth, and then it really makes you respect the character more, because we all know how hard it is to really become really educated on any kind of subject, and to know it's almost like what's the Sun Tzu Art of War kind of thing. You have to know how your enemy thinks, and so Van Helsing is kind of the archetype, and then everybody else on this list, they know their stuff, which is super cool because the action scenes are fine, but they're more exciting if you know how the character is thinking about them and how they're trying to do their strategy, and that's been explained to you.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of these are like, I would say most of these characters on our list don't have like the training montage, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like them being discovered. Them being discovered. No, they're all established. Except for maybe one here. But that's a kind of a duo where one of them's extremely experienced and the other one isn't.
Or they have a team that's with them.
Or it's a team. That has strength and weaknesses.
Yes.
But Van Helsing, obviously you have to start off Monster Hunters by talking about, the most infamous of all time. But what about a monster hunter who is a monster himself? So let's talk about Hellboy.
Yeah,
great segue, huh? But let's talk about Hellboy, just because I don't think there is. I take that back. I was going to say I don't think there's a bad Hellboy, except for the most recent like redux of it. But like the original, let's talk about the ones with Ron
Perlman.
Shown.
The Mancoon cat.
The Mancoon, the literal Mancoon,
the Mancoon cat. The man cat.
Let's talk about the one in Ron Perlman. Yeah, so Hellboy, great, Hellboy 1 and 2, plus obviously the one with David Harbour, but we're not going to talk about that one. But you have a mythical creature, a creature of lore, a creature of the occult, who is summoned by Nazi scientists that are trying. Obviously, the occult, is real in the Nazi, and we've had an entire episode talking about it. So, they tap into the beyond, another dimension where they bring about Hellboy. He comes through the portal and he's brought to Earth, and he's taken in by the professor, and he's taught how to be moral and taught to be human, and taught to fight good, even though he is inherently evil.
He's destined. He's destined to destroy the world. I think that's his prophetic destiny or whatever.
Exactly. So at the end of Hellboy 1, when they show his true potential, because Hellboy's horns have been cut off.
He keeps them filed down.
He keeps them filed down because probably when they're obviously we find when the horns grow back, he's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's super huge. He's got a flaming crown that kind of floats above his head.
Yeah, well, he is isn't he like the devil?
He not the devil, but he has this in the first one. They talk about it more. That's his destiny in the future to destroy the world and to rule over a dead Earth. Yeah.
So, oh no, but he is part of the what is it? The paranormal investigator department
Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, the BPRD.
Yep, he is one of the best agents there, and he just hunts after monsters. When things go bump in the night, Hellboy bumps back. We're going to say that multiple times.
With his demonic gun, the 6-shooter, the big revolver that he has.
Ginormous revolver that no one else
can shoot. He's got the hand, too. The hand of doom or whatever. The hand of hell.
He's got his gauntlet, and that thing is crazy. I'm going to look up a little bit of lore. You talk about it. What do you think about Hellboy?
Well, I love that he has a team. We talked about monster hunters being on a team and having a team, and so he's got Abe Sapien, who's the fish man, played by Doug Jones. I met him once. He's the smart guy he's the researcher, he's the intellectual part of the team, and then he's got the pyrokinetic lady that he's in love with, as they go more into their relationship in the second one. Actually, they do in the first one, but in the second one they're more that she ends up being pregnant, and so they're definitely going to have a Hellboy kids. But she's really great. And then, of course, they have regular agents, human agents that are with them. And that's what I love about having, it's like Control, the video game Control. That could be a Monster Hunter type thing, the Federal Bureau of Control. I just love the idea of having this federal institution whose sole purpose it is to hunt paranormal creatures or supernatural creatures. That just seems like a lot of fun, and also extremely dangerous if you're just a normal human. I don't think I'd want to be a part of it. If I was just a regular guy, because all of the agents in these movies end up getting taken apart and killed. It's only Hellboy and Abe Sapien that really end up surviving. But yeah, what I love is the second one is my favorite of all of the Hellboy movies that have happened, because that was when the first one is Guillermo del Toro, but they took a story, James Mangold, I think, took a story and adapted it from one of the comic books. But then the second one, Guillermo del Toro, I think that was an original story that he made up, the Golden Army. And, of course, you get the father figure, too, the older professor that it fosters Hellboy and teaches him the way he should go. And unfortunately, he passes in the first movie, but in the second one, they're kind of, it's like more coming of age. He's got to take charge himself. He's against the elf prince, who he's got the twin sister, and they can feel one another's life forces or whatever. I love that one. Hellboy and the Golden Army was one of my favorite fantasy sci-fi movies, because it's just all Guillermo del Toro. He just gets to go totally loose with his imagination, the troll market and the giant plant god that he has to fight. Really, really a lot of fun. So I like the whole team aspect. I like when there's a team. It's the classic kind of ODA style or whatever, where everybody's got their specialty and they all contribute something. Classic RPG, D&D type stuff where everybody's got a specialty. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think we failed to mention that Hellboy was a very successful comic book series before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously there's more to Hellboy than just the film. So if you are a fan of the films and you want to know more or look into a little bit more, there's always the comic books that you can check out.
Mike Mignola. Mike Mignola's the author.
Mike Mignola. And I got a little backstory here. So yeah, he was Rasputin. I think that character, was the one that summoned him.
Yep.
Yeah, in the first one. And wasn't Rasputin actual real person, right?
He's a real person, yeah. And so in the comic books, he's kind of an immortal kind of guy.
Yeah, and the thing about Rasputin is in real life, he was into he was kind of a Russian, back before kind of the Prussian. He was Prussian?
It was during the days of the czars, and he had a lot of political power and too much, which is why people stabbed, shot, poisoned all that
Yeah,
kind
and
of
he
stuff.
never died, right?
Yeah, he didn't die. He eventually did die, but they had to do all that stuff
To kill
until
him.
he
Yeah, there was like
actually
some
did.
lore around Rasputin that he was actually like he had powers and everything.
Yeah.
So that I feel like when you combine fact with fiction, or at least like nonfiction with fiction, I always think that's a cool little twist.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically the details of Hellboy's past were revealed in the comic, where he was born in hell to a human mother, and his true name is Anung Unrama.
Whoa.
And his destiny was to serve as the harbinger of the apocalypse. So pretty much he's the harbinger.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
that's cool.
Yeah. That's super, super cool. But yeah, Hellboy, I love just like you said, the second one is one of my favorites. It's just, I think it does a really good job of introducing that fantasy world, because you think it's just paranormal, but like when you hear the word paranormal, all you really think about is like ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really think about elves and mystical creatures within the paranormal. So I think it bridges that gap and really finishes it off. Plus, there's some great action sequences and the FX. The elves, and when they go into that world and they see that old lady who they wear the goggles to see her true identity.
Yeah, the shoe tying glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's afraid of cats.
Yeah.
Like it's just great. It's just really good writing, and the effects is awesome. So Hellboy definitely deserves a spot on this list.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're talking about characters that have they're kind of a dual nature, or they're a part of the darkness that they fight against, we got to talk about Blade a little bit, because the Blade movies were pretty awesome. The Blade movies came around before comic book movies were super popular. It was one of those kind of experimental days, the Tim Burton Batman kind of days. But Blade with of course his name leaves me immediately, but martial artists, got trouble for tax evasion, I think. But anyway, the character Blade comes from Marvel comic book.
Are you talking about Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes. There you go.
There you go.
Jeez. But Wesley Snipes, great action actor. I think this is probably his most iconic role in everything that he's done. But part vampire, right? He had a human mother who was attacked by a vampire, didn't die. The vampire blood got into him. He was born half vampire, half human. So he's got Whistler, his right-hand man who makes all of his gear. And also they have a serum that he takes that can stave off his vampiric urges. And so they call him the Daywalker. He can go around the daytime, and in the nighttime he hunts vampires. He's got all sorts of cool weapons, and Blade was awesome, man. Blade 2 is my favorite. Blade 3 is a steaming pile of garbage in my opinion. But Blade 2, also Guillermo del Toro, back when he was, when he'll do like studio films, and then he'll go off and do his own thing. I think he does his own thing exclusively now because he's had lots of success. But Blade 2, amazing as well. Great action. And then Blade, the character, has kind of there's this darkness within him where he's of two worlds, and he has to fight off his vampiric urges while killing the very vampires. Yeah, his own kind in a way. So I like that,
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
We just were talking about Ron Perlman, and I feel like Ron Perlman is one of those actors who probably, if there's a movie about monster hunters, he's in it.
Yeah.
Because Ron Perlman's in Blade 2. Ron
Perlman
Hellboy.
and Guillermo del Toro are really good friends, so he has him in his, if he can fit him into a movie, it's kind of like Doug Jones too. I think that they're all really good friends. So if they can fit him into a movie, he tries to do that, I think.
No, absolutely. Because I'm just going through his IMDb really quick. Because, Ron Perlman's the type of actor that's like, hey, it's kind of like a B film, and there's a big name actor, and Ron Perlman just shows up, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's Cat Guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in he plays Hellboy. He is also Monster Hunters, Pacific Rim. They're literally fighting monsters.
Yep.
He's also Blade 2, Season of the Witch, which is literally about hunting witches.
That movie. I actively campaign for people to avoid that movie. That movie is so bad. It's so bad, dude.
It is pretty bad. Yeah, I watched it.
That was from the Nick Cage dark period where he was just doing anything to keep his castle.
To stay relevant.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in Conan. You know,
The
he
new
plays
Conan,
Conan's
yeah, he
father.
plays his
Yeah, he
father,
plays
yeah.
Conan's father. Apparently, he's in The Hobbit. I didn't know that, but
He's in The Hobbit?
yeah, it
Oh,
says
man.
The Hobbit: Unexpected Journey, but then you look at the cast, and they all have their names,
And
and
he's, like,
then Ron
uncredited?
Perlman just shows up, and it just says Ron Perlman. So I don't know what's
He
going
was
on
in
there.
he was in a show called Beauty and the Beast back in the 80s with Linda Hamilton,
Yeah, he
aka
played the Beast.
yeah, he was the Beast. He was a Mancoon. He played basically a lion person.
Yeah,
And he had a love, he was in love with Linda Hamilton from Terminator movies. And anyway, so he's been fighting and being the monsters. He's one of those working actors. You look on his IMDb, and he has
yeah,
12 projects in a year, and it's all maybe
yeah,
a week here, 2 weeks there, and then he'll be in a highbrow. He'll be in a great movie like Driver with Ryan Gosling, and then he'll be in
yeah.
some obscure monster movie that came out
Like
direct to
Monster
video.
Hunter.
Yeah, like Monster Hunter. Oh God.
That movie was
Oh
terrible. Speaking of Monster Hunters, like
yeah.
Monster Hunter, that movie sucked.
Right. I mean, you can be a fan of the video games, but that movie was hot garbage.
Yeah, talk about a disappointment. Like, I'm sorry if anybody's involved in that project and listens to this podcast and like
Yeah,
respects us.
Paul W.S. Anderson is listening to this right now. He's like, God, I can't believe they hated my movie.
Yeah. No, it was just, some, video game remakes, they just don't hit.
No.
I mean, in all fairness, I've never played the Monster Hunter video games, but like Monster Hunter don't hit.
No. And it's one of those, if we're going to go off on a tangent on Monster Hunter, which we can, because it's literally the name of the episode.
Why not? It's our podcast.
I mean, it's all about how do you adapt? Like we've talked about adaptations on the show before, and it's what aspects of the video game, what aspects of the intellectual property do you take? What do you keep? What makes an intellectual property successful? And then how do you, and can you actually adapt it successfully? Because a lot of times, I think with Monster Hunter especially, they took kind of it looks like they took the most superficial aspects of the game, and they said, well, we'll just take those and then we'll tell just whatever story we want, right? It doesn't really matter. We're not going to, I don't know. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong listening to this. Maybe write us a email, pcfmpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a DM or get a hold of me on my Twitch stream. I really want to know what you thought of Monster Hunter, the movie, because I think I'm a little passionate about this because there is a larger conversation in today's pop culture about adaptation, right? We've talked about Halo, the TV series. We've talked about Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. We've talked about all these different shows that have been adapted from video games, movies, books, and what the showrunners want to take and want to keep and what they want to leave out. And so I think it's a discussion worth having because like the culture that we consume matters, and what stories we want to tell in culture and what we don't want to tell, and then why we would take an intellectual property and adapt it for our own reasons or for, to bring something out that the original author intended or not, So anyway, Monster Hunter World, not a very good film. Full disclosure, I have not seen it. I always want to, that's something that I want to be really faithful to from now on, Cameron, is if I haven't seen something, I try not to talk about it too much, except maybe in a very broad way, because the only way you're really going to know about any piece of pop culture is if you experience it for yourself.
Sure. There you go. I feel like you just got your bias. Just bias.
I did.
I got bias.
Yep. I'm totally wrong. I have no authority to speak on anything that I haven't seen.
It's okay. That's fine, man. I mean, we don't have to go into, we do not need to go into Monster Hunter. We'll just leave it at that. Let us know what your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts, folks. If you liked Monster Hunter, you've played the video game, what are your thoughts? PCFMpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on YouTube, comment section, please.
Absolutely. So let's move on. Let's talk about something maybe you have seen, like The Witcher.
I have seen the first and half of the second season of The Witcher, and so I can speak to that.
Okay, perfect. Geralt of Rivia. Geralt of Rivia. Yep. The river. Yeah.
Geralt of Riviera.
Yeah, Riviera. Big cruise guy.
Yeah. Geralt of Rivia is such a great character. Well, if we want to talk about somebody who's knowledgeable, that knows the lore of everything. And also I think this is one of those kind of Halo type situations where he was kidnapped as a kid and genetically altered, kind of like the Spartans. I think that's the part of the lore. Those of you that have read the books and watched the whole series and played the video games, especially the video game is what I would be most interested in playing or watching or doing next. But yeah, I think they have kind of his backstory is that he was messed with as a kid and trained up to be this Witcher. And that's why they're kind of genetic freaks. That's why they're part of the reason why they're outcasts is they can take on these abilities and have all these potions and these spells that they can work with, which people are afraid of. And yet they're the ones that they're the ones that they call when there's a monster around.
Yeah, literally, they're the police.
yeah, they're the supernatural police, right?
And literally, people hate them until they need their help. And then they're like, please save us. Yeah. But Geralt, I don't know how do you pronounce his name?
Geralt. Yeah, with a G.
Yeah, G with a G, not a J. Okay, Geralt was born as the son of the sorceress Vicenna and presumably the warrior Corinne. Shortly after his birth, his mother left him with the School of the Wolf at the stronghold of Kaer Morhen. There, Geralt was made and trained to become a Witcher. As a child, he was subjected to the trial of the grasses. So yeah, he was, kind of left little boy, and he's like, train him, subject him to all your torment, and then boom, Geralt of Rivia. Plus, I mean, talk about a good cast, Yeah. We've expressed our love for Henry, little HC there.
Yeah.
And we expressed our love for Henry Cavill. We cannot wait. And I think I could speak for the both of us to see the Warhammer.
Yes.
To see the Warhammer because, when actors that know the lore and actors that are obsessed with the story and the actual piece of material are involved in it, I feel like it just makes it much better.
Yeah, there's a good chance. It's not a guarantee.
There's a good chance.
Paul W.S. Anderson is, I'm sure, a big fan of Monster Hunter. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a good game or a good adaptation or whatever. But Henry Cavill, I think, has shown himself to be very knowledgeable. And so if he surrounds himself with a good team, I think it's Warhammer 40K is going to be awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Fingers crossed. But yeah, HC was a great character cast for this just because, physicality wise, he looks like a monster, himself. Yep. He's a pretty big freaking guy. Anybody that can play Superman and make the suit look good, no homo, but is good to play these types of characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think the hair is a little ridiculous though, because the hair does not look like it's his.
It's
that's the only downfall.
It's very medieval times.
It is super. It's like, okay, let's. I got to go down to the 99-cent Halloween store and just put this gray wig on. It just doesn't look like it's his hair. That's the silliest part. The entire season, the entire first couple seasons, I just kept watching it and going, it's not his hair. It's not his hair at all. It does not look believable. But that was my only complaint. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think he's, on our list here, one of the most knowledgeable monster hunters.
Yes.
Because in his universe, there isn't just one type of monster. You have a plethora of ones to deal with, and that each of them have their own strengths and weaknesses. And every monster he has come across, he knows their weakness. It's not like he hasn't come across something that he's never heard of.
Yeah.
At least in my, experience, which is the first 2 or 3 seasons of it. But yeah, no, I've never played the game. Have you played the game?
No, it's funny. It's one of those, to my shame, I actually own Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and I have not played it. It's just sitting on a desk somewhere, and I need to pop it into my PlayStation and play it. But no, you got to take away my nerd card later.
Well, for shame on you, Izzy. Me, I mean, I can get away with saying no, I haven't played that game. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the show. I heard the drama of the recast, which I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, it's hard to know the true story. I tried to get a little bit from both sides as much as I could. The popular opinion is that Henry Cavill, very excited about the show. Showrunners not so interested in honoring the source material, kind of wanted to do other stuff with it. You can see that as the seasons go on, it's less about Geralt of Rivia and more about the female characters.
Yeah,
and
the
their
wizard
development.
lady.
Yeah.
Who was ugly, and then
Ciri
she
and
wasn't.
Yennefer. Yeah. So you can see that in the show that it's not necessarily about Geralt of Rivia, even though the show is called The Witcher. And then Henry Cavill has dropped little hints about how he loves this, the original source material, and how that would be his desire if he had more creative control, then he would do it this way, kind of thing. So my opinion is that, as is the kind of the standard practice in Hollywood these days, it's more about taking the source material and then you telling your own story with kind of the most superficial aspects of the source material, kind of like I've said before, hollowing it out and then making it say what you want them to say. So I think that's probably why he left, because it could be another reason, could have been something else. Maybe he's not, I saw a video where, maybe he's not the best guy to get along with on set or whatever. So who knows the validity? I just kind of want to give voice to both sides, or to more than one side of it. But I tend to believe, my bias here, I tend to believe that he wanted them to be more honoring to the source material. He did his best with what they gave him. They decided to go in a different direction more and more. And he's like, I'm out. I got Warhammer 40K. I'm excited about this. I want to have creative control of that property and do what I want with it. You guys can have, what is it? Liam Hemsworth is taking over in
the brother, not Lee. Is it Liam's the brother? You have Chris. Yeah. Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah. Liam Hemsworth. Yeah.
What has
Witcher.
he done?
Was he in the, Hunger Games? Was that his thing?
Yeah, I guess it's the Hunger Games. He was in Land of Bad. That movie that just came out, Land of Bad.
We should do a review of that, Cameron. We should watch that and then do a review of it. Land of Bad with Russell Crowe and Liam Hemsworth.
I mean, he's in the Expendables.
Yeah. I mean, he's no slouch. Obviously, he's one of the lesser Hemsworths, not the lowest Hemsworth, because there's like another Hemsworth that was in.
Really? Oh no,
the HBO. He was in Westworld, and I'm like, that's a Hemsworth. No.
It's just like, hey, bro, let me do you. Luke Hemsworth. Yeah, poor guy. Actually, he's got kind of a list here.
He's in Land of Bad.
Westworld. He's in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
that's a pity cast.
Yeah, well, he was one of the actors on stage playing like the dramatized version of whatever story they were doing.
I totally thought that was Matt Damon.
He was on that. He was there too, but I think he played somebody else, a different character on stage. But Matt Damon was there. That was kind of a joke. Is there a fourth? There is no fourth Hemsworth.
Yeah, he's in Ragnarok. He's in Love and Thunder. I feel like that's a pity cast. Sorry, Luke. I don't want to, make you sound.
Hey, nepotism's a thing in Hollywood.
Yeah. You're like, I got a brother who'd be, throw him a bone.
Hey, yeah. He's not doing anything.
He's looking for work,
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just give him. He was in Hickok, and then he was also in Land of Bad, apparently.
That's funny. That's probably another like, hey, I got a brother. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, I got a brother that would, hey, let's give this guy, like, we got this veteran guy, he'd probably be really good for the role of Sergeant Abel. And you're like, nah, dude, my brother, I got a brother, he really needs the money.
Yeah. Screw that veteran guy.
Yeah, I feel like that's how it went. Because,
awesome.
I mean, interesting because I looked at the casting for Land of Bad, and you know how it like kind of puts their faces in order of precedence, like how important they are. And Luke's face is right next to Russell Crowe, and then it's Liam.
Hey, so maybe wow.
All right, Luke
coming up in the world, man. He's gonna be the greater. It's like Game of Thrones, but with the Hemsworth. They're all vying for political and pop culture power.
Yeah. Well, didn't Chris Hemsworth, he said he's kind of taking a break, right?
Yeah, he is. I think
he's having some health problems or something.
Well, I think what I heard was there was that show he did, Limitless, right? Where it was exploring the limits of human potential.
Yeah.
Put himself to the test. And through that, I think either through that or maybe peripheral to that, he found out that he has some genetic predispositions to like Alzheimer's or whatever, dementia. And that really got him worried. And so I think he was like, hey, I want to spend time with my family. I want to work on my health. I'm going to take a break for a little while. And so,
I mean, he has the money to do it. So
yeah. And why not? More power to him. I think that is super important. You got to take care of yourself. And if you know that you have some predispositions to stuff, I don't think that all
Sure.
is lost. You should take some time and really work on yourself.
Yeah,
So.
or at least be aware of it,
Yeah.
take steps,
Yeah,
slow it down.
yeah. Yeah, because man,
Let Luke catch up.
yeah, let Luke have his day in the sun. Like hashtag let Luke, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, hashtag let Luke. Let's get that viral. Yeah, sorry, Chris.
let's keep it going, man. Good
Yeah,
old
sorry, Liam. I heard you're a bad guy in terms of relationships, so
Uh-oh.
I'm not a big fan.
All right, Liam, you gotta. Hey, there's hope for you, Liam. You're not genetically predisposed to being a bad guy, so we believe in you too. Hashtag let Liam.
No, I'm
No,
let Luke. Sorry,
let
I'm
Luke.
Team Luke.
All right, hashtag
Yeah,
Team
hashtag
Luke
let
and Team
Luke.
Liam. All right.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's get on track because I have no idea where we are.
I have no idea where we are.
We were talking about Geralt, and then we were like, "What are you think about the recast?" And then boom,
yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
That's what people want to hear. They want to hear it. They don't want to hear us keep on track. They want us to go into little cul-de-sacs and sidetracks and stuff. So.
Love cul-de-sacs. Well, if you want to pick it up, let's talk about Constantine, man.
Constantine.
John Constantine.
Yes, I love
one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, good old Keanu Reeves, man, the internet's boyfriend.
Yeah, the internet's boyfriend, super loyal, great, awesome communicator. But the most exciting thing is like, okay, it's been a while since Constantine has come out. You know, we have, and that was a great movie.
Yeah,
for what it was.
Yep.
One of my favorite Keanu movies ever, behind like John Wick.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with a man who has dedicated his life to combating the forces of evil.
Mm-hmm. Based on a comic book character.
Yep, based on the comic book character. Is that a Marvel comic book character?
It's
or
like
a DC?
Dark Horse or something like that.
Is it Dark Horse?
Maybe. Let me look that up real quick.
I thought it's
definitely
Marvel
character. Hellblazer comic book series. DC. It is DC.
DC. Okay. Yep. DC. So yeah, John Constantine's character, besides the movie, the Keanu Reeves, it was based off of a comic book. But the most exciting news is we have a second edition, hopefully in the near future, that has been announced.
Hey, really? With Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, with Keanu Reeves coming back.
Hey, all right.
This is another example of a man who, is combating the forces of evil, that is an expert in his craft. There is no like train up. There's no montage. Like when you're introduced to Keanu Reeves, he is, he's fighting and you're like, what the hell is going on? There's all this like weird voodoo going on and boom.
Wow.
He's just out there kicking ass.
Wow. Yeah. And what I love is again, the lore. I feel like it's surrounded by a lot of Catholic lore too. A lot of the weapons he has are very Christian, very Catholic.
Yeah. I mean, that was the same with Van Halen, like, I'm sorry, not Van Halen. Van Helsing. See, that was the joke I made earlier when he said he's really good at the guitar.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Okay, you laughed. I thought you picked it up. That's why
I
I
was just
said
trying to
bad
make
joke.
you feel better about yourself.
Okay, sorry, man. Van Helsing, I mean, that was the same. Like in the Hugh Jackman portrayal, he's a part of the Catholic religion. Like he goes over to Italy.
Yeah, they're like fund him and get his R&D. He's got his R&D department.
He's like the paranormal kind of the department of the why am I blanking on what are these dudes called? The what are the Catholic?
The priest, Pope.
The Pope, what are they called?
The papistry or whatever. The Pope.
No, like their whole the whole thingy. The Catholic Church is the
I don't know, the church? It's the Catholic Church?
No.
The monks? I don't know what you're talking about. The what did I say? Papistry?
I forgot. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody help me out. Send me
leadership, like the leadership of it or whatever.
Yeah. Like the leadership, like they're the band, in Italy.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like the Pope is part of it. Like it's the main church in Italy, and it's what is it?
Well, hey, all that to say, John Constantine. And then Van Helsing, obviously, in the movie. He is funded by the Catholic Church in Rome. Are you talking about the city? What is it? The Vatican?
The Vatican.
The
Thank
Vatican.
you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, the Vatican. Okay. Because you can go to the Vatican. That's like their HQ is the Vatican.
Yeah. And it's
That's what
I
I
think
was
it's
trying
its
to
own,
say.
technically its own city or whatever, like legally
Yeah,
speaking.
it's like its own little district and stuff. But the Vatican would give Van Helsing like his missions. Like he was
Yes.
basically the weapon of the Vatican. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like what, obviously not kind of, but he kind of operates independently, John Constantine, alongside the Vatican. Like he's not part of it because I don't think they agree with his methods, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But he is like somebody he's like the guy they call when like they can't do it.
Yeah. And there's, and not to be outdone, I know that I'm trying to look, I don't know if it's as popular, but there's like warrior nun. There have been warrior nun incarnations throughout pop culture. I know there was a comic book and there's a Netflix series called Warrior Nun. I don't know if it's the same Catholic thing, but warrior nuns, man, you got to give them credit where credit is due. But
yeah. No, absolutely.
I totally believe the Catholic Church has secret assassin. Like they must have a military wing, a military branch of the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church because they're so powerful and big. I would love to see a movie about that. They're secret assassins.
Let's
but
see. Quick Google search.
Constantine's thing is he is trying to save his soul from hell because when he was a kid, he committed suicide and then was brought back. And so for that in Catholicism, suicide, if you kill yourself, that's a mortal sin and you go to hell for that. But so that's kind of the main thing in the movie with Rachel Weisz is every soul or every demon that he puts away, he thinks, oh, he's trying to buy his way back into heaven's good grace.
Into heaven,
yeah. So very, very Catholic in its theology.
I'm very looking forward to this to see, because the first one, I hope Shia LaBeouf's in it. I think that would be real good.
There's an alternate ending to the Constantine movie where you see, because Shia LaBeouf's character gets killed. And then the alternate ending, when he's on the rooftop, you see Shia LaBeouf as an angel. He's been made into an angel after he dies. And so maybe he could be out there, man.
Okay.
He's a really buff, really fit angel. Shia LaBeouf works out.
Does he? Yeah. You will not divide us. Okay.
I want to give a special shout out to Ash from the Evil Dead series, the Evil Dead movies and series. Ash is a great iconic character played by Bruce Campbell. Starting off in the Evil Dead, he's kind of like the final girl. He's not the main character in the first Evil Dead movie, which came out a long time ago in the olden days, in the early 80s, late 70s. But the Necronomicon, Book of the Dead, spawned a whole slew of movies that just keeps going, which I'm okay with. I like the last one that came out with the ladies in the apartment building. But Ash is the original. He is an official monster hunter, specifically fighting against the Deadites, which are the manifestations, the demons that are called forth by the Necronomicon when it's activated. And then he steps more and more into his role from Evil Dead 2, especially, which is I think probably my favorite out of all of them. But I saw Army of Darkness first. I didn't even know that it was a movie series. But then there have been multiple video games, none of which I've played. But then the series was really fun. I think there was a couple seasons of Ash versus Evil Dead, which was a lot of fun. I watched most of the first season. But his iconic weapon is, of course, the chainsaw arm. He cuts off his own arm, his own hand, rather. And then he replaces it with a chainsaw. He creates this little contraption where he's got a pull cord on his chest. He rips it out and starts it up, and then he can fight evil that way. And then, of course, his boomstick, his double-barrel shotgun. So Ash deserves special mention. He's got a hard life because he doesn't have any superpowers. He's a middle American dude. He works at S-Mart in the sporting goods section, right? And so he gets special mention because, he doesn't have any superpowers. He's just got pure grit and insanity to fuel him in his fight against the Deadites that come from the Book of the Dead, which I actually heard I guess in lore, there's technically 3 Books of the Dead. There's the original with Ash. There's the remake they did in late 2010s, I think. And then there's the most recent one with the ladies in the apartment building. And they all look slightly different. And so I think I read somewhere that there's actually 3 separate Necronomicons that all have their own journeys throughout time causing chaos and havoc. But Ash Williams, Evil Dead, great monster hunter.
Nice, dude. Good honorable mention. I guess my honorable mention before we move on is just Perseus from Clash of Titans. Obviously a demigod.
Yeah.
And I mean, that entire movie is about fighting monsters. And,
Yes.
you know, it's just epic film.
Greek mythology, right?
Yeah, it's based off Greek mythology, which I've always been a big proponent of and a big fan of growing up.
Yeah.
One of the only like school topics that I really found myself like reading and doing homework for.
Nice.
So yeah, no, Greek mythology is just full of awesome characters, awesome epic tales fighting monsters, and we have the Hollywood portrayal of it. There's the original, which was I think one of my first pair of boobies I've ever seen in my life.
Were there boobs in that? Oh, with Medusa?
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I remember going to Blockbuster and like seeing Clash of Titans, and like the opening scene of Clash of Titans is just a rack in your face.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because it was made in like the 70s or the 80s.
Right. Okay, when she has her son Perseus, she's like right there.
Yeah, she's like holding her son Perseus, and like her tits are just out. So like that, and then the second I saw that, my mom turned it off. So like I think that was one of the first boobies I've ever seen. Did
you ever get to watch the whole series or the whole movie?
The original?
Yeah.
Later in life, I think.
Okay.
But I was probably like 7 years old. So no, not like you where you could watch anything. Actually, no, you said you can watch anything as long as it didn't have boobies in it, right?
Yeah, but it's funny about that particular one. I saw that when I was a kid, but maybe I saw it on TV because I don't remember that there were any boobs in it.
Okay, yeah, no, the one I got from Blockbuster definitely had areola. So yeah, no, I remember that. But the remake with the guy that was huge for one point and then just disappeared.
Yeah,
off the face
Jake
of the
Sully.
screen. Yeah, Jake Sully, literally.
Avatar films.
From the Avatar. Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
I mean, he's Jake Sully. He was waiting to be Jake Sully again for the Avatar films, but what's his name? Jake Sully, actor.
Played by Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington. There you go.
Yeah, he was huge for like the Avatar. Like he was in Hacksaw Ridge. He was Clash of Titans. Man on Ledge, Horizon. Like his IMDb is huge, and then he just kind of had a break.
Yeah, I think when Avatar came out and became literally the biggest movie of all time, he probably got picked up by a big agency like WME or whatever. And they're like, okay, we're going to put you in everything now. And he was in freaking so many movies. Let's see how many movies between when did Avatar come out?
2011,
but a lot of stuff. The Great Raid.
2009.
2009. Yeah. Avatar. He was in some stuff before that. I guess
he was in Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah. And then he was in Clash of the Titans, The Debt, Last Night, Call of Duty Black Ops. Oh, Mason. He was Mason. That's awesome.
He was Mason?
Wow, yeah, he was Alex Mason. Wow. But, I think probably just coasted on the sheer star power from Avatar for a long time. And he's established now. He's a known entity, but I don't think he's known for too much else besides at the Avatar movies. And I think the next one,
number 3.
I think that's the last one where he's going to have a major role. I think it's going to transition to more his son kids telling the story. Yeah, his kids telling the story. Because obviously, if there's going to be 17 more Avatar movies, you got to keep the legacy going.
Yeah, but I don't know. But they're on the run each one, right?
Well, I mean, they were in this last.
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah, so like they ended by leaving the water tribe, and now they're going to go to the next tribe. But they're always. But I guarantee they're going to get followed.
Yeah, they're going to go to the vegan tribe. Yeah, they're going
to have to master their.
Yep, that'll be the way methods. Of air. It'll be like Air. It'll be like Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're just going to become like the way of air, the way of fire, the way of earth.
Exactly. So they're going to find the next. I guarantee they're going to go to the next tribe. It's going to be hard to fit in.
Yeah.
Right? But then they're going to, they're going to learn their secrets. They're going to become one with them. But then they're going to get chased by the Marines, and there's going to be
those horrible humans.
They're going to have to run again. Yep. And then all 3 of the tribes will come together. And then they will have one big war.
The way of Earth, or the way of planet, the way of Pandora, it will be called. And they will learn that the Earth is good and should be kind. We should be kind to the planet but we're humans,
Yeah.
so we're bad, and so we're gonna
Yeah,
destroy
or
them.
the world completely dies and they take the seed of there's one seed
Oh, from
of whatever her name is. What's the big god?
the big life tree or whatever.
Yeah, the life tree, or just the one Weha, what's her name? Like everything leads to
Yeah,
the big god that everything's a part of,
yeah,
you
yeah. That
know?
connects everything.
Yeah, so what if they find this giant seed? Here, I'm writing the movie for them. They find the giant seed, but they kill the planet in the process of trying to track these guys down. So what they do is they take that seed and they go back to Earth and plant it on Earth, and they live together on Earth.
That would be cool, man. That I would actually be interested in them writing that series, but I don't see that happening because James Cameron's very. I mean, hey, to his credit, he's very pro Earth. He's very pro nature, right? Pro ocean. And so that's kind of the theme, is that humans are bad. We destroy the planet, but there's these really cool blue people that live in harmony, and we should be like them.
Okay. Well, I just have to say one hell of an honorable mention here. Yeah, that'll do. We have a fan question that we must move to, and this is anonymous. So, and I'm assuming because it says anonymous, is we're talking about the infamous hacker group. So thank you for your interest in the PCFM podcast. And they would like to know, if you could be a monster hunter anywhere in the world, which world would that be?
In any world, which world?
Any world.
So any of these that we've talked about are ones that we haven't spoken about.
Yeah, probably. Let's see.
That's a good question.
Great question.
Ooh, it's tough, man.
Because it's like, okay, like I wouldn't want to live in like The Witcher, because like it's medieval. There's no showers. Like everyone's stinky.
Right.
That's just rough living. But then it's like, if I'm in John Constantine's world, it's pretty normal, you know?
Yeah, it's basically just LA. And if you don't
LA,
hunt monsters, you don't notice them anyway, you know?
Yeah. But it's like, okay, well, that's just like ghosts and stuff and demons. Like they already do that at the Vatican. So it's like, that would be just normal life.
Yep.
But then there's Hellboy, which is like, there's a lot to do, and it's in normal. I'd probably say Hellboy then. We never talked about the Men in Black. We were going to talk about Men in Black, but we never got to it.
Yep. That's another one. I would definitely want to be in the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense. I'd want to be in the Hellboy universe too. I like all the lore and stuff like that. Now we're talking about if we're actually being in there, that's freaking dangerous. And I would not want to be a normal human. If I'm choosing to be in this world, I'm choosing to also be like some sort of supernatural being, because you get taken out pretty quick if you're a human.
Yeah. If you're just a regular guy. Yeah. Like we've seen the first one, they send in those dudes and they just get absolutely massacred by those dogs.
Yep. Yeah. And the second one too, cool. With the tooth fairies, right? And they basically eat you from the inside out.
Eat you. Like that's dangerous. Yeah. Well, what about like I would consider like Transformers. Technically, they are monsters. Like they are robot monsters. And they have that entire task force that is assigned to taking them out and hunting them, especially in the third one.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a dangerous job. Your weapons do nothing. Like they are just wasting time.
Yeah. If you don't have an Autobot on your side, you're just a human on like an ATV or whatever with a machine gun.
Yeah. And you have a timer.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
I'll
probably say it. Yeah.
If I want to give a period answer as well, because the modern day stuff, obviously hygiene and things like that. But I would love to be in the Monster Hunter world. I only know about it just a little bit, but it seems like a fun place to be in. Like you have amazing powers. You can go back to the village and hang out. Looks like a fun kind of tribal community, and your whole life is dedicated to hunting monsters, these giant monsters with your friends, right?
Yeah, and with your friends.
Either that or Helldivers.
Do anything with friendship, yeah.
Either that or Helldivers too.
Yeah, or Helldivers too. That's a good one too, yeah. We got to spread democracy. All about spreading democracy.
So done so quick, like done 5 seconds after dropping. You're dead.
Yeah, boom, dead. Well, I think that answers Anonymous's question. I hope you enjoy it. All right, but we're coming to the end of this episode, and with that comes a game. And I have the game for you, Israel. Since monsters and whatnot are nerdy, and you're probably the biggest nerd that I know, this game is for you, and it's called On the Right Day, We're All Monsters. Pretty deep, Chris.
Whoa, wow.
I'm going to give you the name of a movie, TV show, or book, and you tell me the name of the main monster. These will get progressively harder.
I hope so, Chris, because you know what a massive nerd I am. So I'm expecting these to get really obscure. We're talking pre-1920s books and movies.
Ooh. Okay, well, I'm reading some of these, and this will be a good one. But are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we have about 8 of them with a warm-up, so let's do the warm-up really quick.
Okay.
Dracula.
Wait, who's the monster in Dracula?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Dracula.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, warmed up. We're warm. Thanks, Chris. For that
God. If the inverse of the difficulty is true, if it holds and it keeps getting more difficult, I'm going to get totally slammed.
I don't know. It kind of, the next one's kind of.
Oh,
I
no.
feel like Chris just threw you some like giveaways.
The curve
right
is
here.
like, goes like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.
Like, wow, skyrockets. Okay, but no, I think you'll do good on a lot of these. This isn't a hard game for you if I know you well enough. Next one, Frankenstein.
Okay, so the monster is Frankenstein's monster, right? Because Frankenstein is the name of the doctor who creates the monster. The monster, or Frankenstein's monster, is the actual monster. He's
Okay,
the creation.
I feel like that was a trick question. That was a trick question.
If you don't know,
but is Frankenstein really the monster for creating that?
Yeah, there you go. We are the monsters. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we are the monsters. But yeah, you got that. Frankenstein. It is Frankenstein's monster. Moving on. It.
That would be Pennywise. Pennywise, the clown. Obviously, he's actually some alien entity, some like giant spider.
He's not alien, but he's more the mythic being.
Oh, mythic being. Okay, yeah. But Pennywise would be
the popular. He's been around since like the dawn of time.
Yeah, there you go. So. And we're all the Earth is floating on top of a giant turtle in space or something like that. I heard that was in the book.
Along those lines. Something that yeah, I don't even want to go there. Anyways, next one, Hellraiser.
Hellraiser would be, I mean, the Cenobites is, I think, what they're called, but Pinhead is the main Cenobite. He's the leader, and he, is always after the box because the box can either imprison or free him. But Pinhead is his name, and I forget if he has a name, but he's the lead Cenobite or the head Cenobite. So
yeah, HCIC, head Cenobite in charge. You are correct.
Head Cenobite in charge. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, these are getting a little harder now, but I feel like you've seen all of these, so except for the last one, but we'll find out. All right, moving on. Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2. I mean, that's kind of tough to say because the town itself is cursed. The town itself, Silent Hill, is cursed.
A lot of monsters in this one, but what's the main one?
Oh, the main one? I mean, Pyramid Head is like a really iconic figure in that series. I forget if he's in 2 or not. He's definitely in 1. Man, I feel like this is kind of one of those trick questions where it's like it's him the whole time, the main character or whatever. I'm gonna say Pyramid Head.
I'm gonna say you're right.
Okay.
Yes, it is the Executioner or Pyramid Head. Good guess. But yeah, that one was. I feel like that one was a little bit of a curveball because like there were so many monsters in Silent Hill. It's like hard to pick. But yes, no, way to stick with your gut because you got that one right and you were doing exceptionally well. Moving on, 3 questions left. Let's see if you can pick them up. X-Files Season 2, Episode 2, The Host TV.
What? Season 2, Episode 2, what's it called?
The Host.
The Host. Okay, it's a good thing that me and the wife are literally in Season 2 right now because the host he's like a poop creature. He came from the sewers and he was like it was like an evolution. There's like a little like tapeworm type thing born out of like the crud and the grime or the radioactivity of maybe like I think it was like Russian, but he's basically he thrives in dirty environments, right? And he's got like sucker teeth, and so he's kind of like, I don't know how you describe him, but he's basically like a hookworm monster. He's a humanoid, but he's also kind of a parasite. So. And that he hides inside a porta potty and then gets sucked up into the porta potty tank and gets away.
So. Okay. Do you know his name?
Oh God, he has a name?
Allegedly.
Hookworm McPoopyface. I didn't know he had a name, but I don't know. I can't. I don't know the name of it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give you half credit.
Okay.
Because I'm thoroughly impressed. Because your description is spot on. You knew exactly who I'm talking about.
Okay.
His name is Flukeman.
Flukeman? He has a name called Flukeman?
Yeah, I literally Googled
Man.
everything you were describing to see if you were spot on, because this is very specific.
Yes.
This is like season 2, episode 2, one episode, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm watching that, and it's this guy, and it's to a T what you described. Yeah, so I'm giving you half credit.
Hey,
You know
I'll take
exactly
it.
who it is.
I'll take half
Yeah,
credit.
I'll give that. That's very impressive. Okay. Moving on. Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth. Well, I mean, there's a couple monsters in it. There's the Thin Man. He's the most iconic one, I think. He's got the eyeballs in his hands, played by Doug Jones. And then there's Pan, who is the one who sends the little girls on the quest. And then if you want to get really technical, it's the frickin' Spanish officer who is evil, you know. So if I had to say, let's see, there's Thin Man, there's Pan, there's what's the other one that she has to put the thing underneath? I'm gonna go like hardcore. I think Cameron or Chris is trying to be all twisty turny on me, plot twist like. I'm gonna say it's the Spanish officer. I forget his name, but he tortures people. He is like a really bad dude. He's a freaking commie, and he gets his shot in the face at the end. But yeah,
he gets his
comeuppance. What did you? What did you say? You comeuppance. He gets his comeuppance. Yeah,
he gets his comeuppance. Okay. Ooh, that is not correct, and it's not the Thin Man. It is the Pale Man.
The Pale Man.
The Pale Man, known for his pale complexion.
That's right. You got the
although he is quite thin in the legs.
Yep, he is. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I'll take the hit on that one because even though
I think if you want to get technical, the real monster is that guy.
Guy. Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, man. One more to finish this off here. Let's see if you can get this. A double on the name. This is called The Host. It is a Korean movie.
Yeah, I've seen this movie.
What? Oh,
yeah.
you have? Okay.
This is the same guy who's he did Snowpiercer, he did Parasite, he done so it's basically like a giant, like a lizard thing. It's got a tail that can grab things. It kind of lives in the sewer underneath. And the Korean family has to band together to go and rescue the daughter who's been kidnapped by the monster. So it's like I forget. I don't know what its name is, but it's a giant sewer lizard monster thing that kidnaps the daughter in the beginning.
Okay, well, you knew. I mean, you've seen it. I googled it. You described it to a T, and you just didn't know the name. So I'll give you half credit on that one. His name is Gwomul or something like that. Gwomul.
Some sort of Korean name.
Gwoemul.
I didn't know it had a name. Okay, I'll take a half credit for that. Yeah,
I'll give you half credit. So in all, you missed one then.
All right, yeah, combining the math. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Combining the math. Yeah, nice. So good job, buddy. You killed this episode. I thought this was going to be a brain buster. Yeah, you did very well. Good for you.
Chris doing his job to validate all of those wasted hours from my childhood or my young life watching movies.
So honestly, I mean, more credit to Chris than to help you.
Right. He knows me so well, you know.
Yeah. Well, good job, Izzy. And thanks, folks, for tuning into this episode of the PCFM podcast. We really hope you enjoyed this week's episode talking about monster hunters and such. So do us a favor and send us an email to the PCFMpodcast@gmail.com if we missed any of your favorite monster hunters, or if you got a question for us to potentially be featured in a future episode of the podcast.
And if you're mad at us for not mentioning any of the Souls-like games, too bad, because I haven't played any of them. I know you're a monster hunter in all of those games like Elden Ring or Bloodborne, but you don't matter in those games. It's not about the character. You can create the character from scratch and you have no backstory. So you come at me, bro, if I'm wrong.
Okay. Yeah, so come at Israel in the email, pcfmpodcast@gmail.com. But with that, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't be afraid to check out our YouTube content and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as check out the Patreon page if you enjoy our podcast and want a little bit more like exclusive content, or to spend one day a month with Izzy and I watching movies and reacting to them. The Patreon is the perfect place to check out. And with that, we will see you next week, and
cue music.